technology's got huge potential to enable people who find other sorts of input devices difficult to use. So people who find a keyboard difficult, and that might be for a physical reason, but it might also be just because they're not very good at using a keyboard and they find it tricky. And for young children who can't yet spell or understand how to express themselves in written form, it's a great way of having a nice interaction, conversational form. So I think there's lots of potential for voice technology, definitely. Because it can be very quick. And there's something nicer about communicating something in the spoken word to the written word. You know, giving some feedback can feel more personal if you're using your voice rather than just writing it down. And then there's also more specifically sort of learning related uses of this kind of technology, for example, in learning another language. You know, you can use the voice technology to, help pronunciation. If you're not pronouncing the word correctly, then the voice technology won't understand the word, this kind of thing. So yeah, there's a lot of potential for voice to be a really positive thing for education. People collaborating together is much easier if you're speaking to each other. If there's an intermediary, perhaps a voice-activated assistant who can assist in that collaborative effort, then again, I think that could be extremely useful. One other thing I'd say, I think is an interesting piece of research to be done, is to think about different ways in which feedbacks. So in learning, feedback's extremely important. So you might have feedback given by a human, you might have feedback given by an avatar, you might have feedback given by a voice-activated assistant type platform, you might have it given by a robot. It's very interesting to think about which of those might be the most effective. Now, I think it's perfectly clear that the human-to-human would be, but I would say that it seems possible that the voice-activated assistant could be a next best. I don't think we're ever going to get to the same precise quality that real human interaction can achieve. But I do think there's lots of possibilities of getting something useful. It's obviously extremely important that we evaluate the effectiveness of any kind of technology that's being introduced into an educational interaction. But it's a very nuanced question, because what might work well for a group of students in Sunderland might not work very well for a group of students in Somerset, might not work very well for a group of students in Skegness. It's not enough to just look at whether an intervention with a particular piece of technology improves learning outcomes alone. You need to know why it's improving learning outcomes. There's no question in my mind that the COVID-19 pandemic demonstrates that we absolutely must use technology in education and use it effectively. The problem with the COVID situation is it's a giant experiment that we didn't plan. And so there are lots of inequalities in what different groups of students are receiving, lots of differences in the way the technology has been using. We've been looking at this, and in most instances, teachers are using technology they've not used before, they're not familiar with, they've had to get up to speed really quickly, they've done amazingly well. But what we need is a much more planned and well-designed way of using technology. The innovation's impressive. I like the way the ones that I've seen are very much addressing a real educational need. That for me is what's most important, is that there's absolutely a key educational need that's being addressed through the way the technology is being applied. I think they've thought creatively, innovatively, and they've designed things well. So yes, I think it's been really interesting and actually a greater variety than I was anticipating.